I'm David Short.
And I'm Matthew Rowe.
We watched a movie today, but first, about these subtitles. You see, as we were watching our movie today, we discovered that both of us must have very thick German accents, and no one's ever told us.
Because we sound exactly like the Germans in this movie.
And it's not like the casting department of this movie would cast English actors and tell them not to put on a German accent, because that would be stupid.
This must be why we get banned in Germany.
Probably. So, we've added subtitles for your benefit so that you can penetrate our thick foreign accents. And with that, moving on.
Today's movie of discussion is Uwe Boll's film, BloodRayne, the Third Reich.
BloodRayne, the Third Reich. Oh, dear. Has it been doing that the whole time?
Probably.
Okay. Alright, subtitles gotta go. And moving on. BloodRayne, the Third Reich. It is a...
It sucks! It sucks so much!
Okay, it is... Okay, the BloodRayne series. Talk about that. The BloodRayne series of games that was then adapted to movies by Uwe Boll.
I am a big fan of the BloodRayne games.
I have never heard of any of them.
They are fun action films. Well...
Fun action films.
Fun action films. They're fun action games that put together a really cheesy concept of fighting Nazis bent on some super plan of taking over the world. This time creating an army of vampires. Yeah, it's a cheesy setup, but at the same time, though, it was a lot of badassery.
Especially by the main character, Rain.
Yeah, Rain is pretty awesome. She's really awesome. Guess what? She's not in the movies.
When a movie is adapted to film, certain changes must... When a movie is adapted to film... I'm a genius. When a video game is adapted to film, certain changes must be made in order to get it to carry between mediums. Typically, that means a storyline change or a mild character backstory change because you don't have enough time to give exposition. When it's an Uwe Boll adaptation of a video game... What you do is you throw out the entire plot, the entire character development, everything about the game, except for the bare-bones exoskeleton.
And the title.
And the title. And then you build off of that.
You don't even build. You just say, do something with it. Like, the funny thing is, alright, about the first BloodRayne, I do have a little bit of information on that movie. The thing is, the screenwriter, who originally was approached by Uwe Boll to write the script for BloodRayne, she turned in her first draft of the screenplay to Uwe Boll, and he said, alright, that's fine. And he ended up rewriting, like, almost 60% of it. So, like, the majority of... So, when she watched the movie in the theater, it was, you know, it was nothing what she had originally written. So, to be honest, actually, she's unfairly credited. I don't know how this works with other people too, but the writer of this movie has worked with Uwe Boll a lot, so I'm guessing that's probably not the case this time.
However, this was his first film written, and...
Yeah.
Alright, let me give a little bit of plot here.
One, we both have not seen the second one.
Oh, no, I haven't even seen the first... I didn't know BloodRayne was a... Well, I did know it was a thing, but I've never seen anything.
The first one at least had Ben Kingsley, even though it has nothing whatsoever to do with the games. I will give it as much credit to this movie. It has at least Nazis in the movie, even though it's still nothing like the game.
Well, here, I'll give a little bit of plot. So, if you want to familiarize yourself with BloodRayne, go to Wikipedia, because I don't got that for you. But if you want to know about this movie, stick around. Alright, plot. Here we go. It opens up with, I guess, a flashback of Rain seeing somebody get turned into a vampire. I don't know who. And,
I think it was her mother.
yeah, and then it moves on from there of this Nazi organization, well, the entire Nazis, really, where they got their hands on a vampire, and they are using that medical information of the vampire to not only A, take down Rain, because she's near unkillable, and B, create their own army of vampires, which is a thing there. But their overall goal, this was revealed by Netflix, mind you, because God knows the movie doesn't show it too much, they wanted to take Rain's blood, which is apparently very resistant to, like, everything that normally would take out vampires.
Because damn fear.
And give it to the Fuhrer, Hitler, to do what he would with it, aka make himself immortal. Not much happens in the middle part there. Not much at all.
the Hitler story arc only comes around at the last act of the movie.
Yeah. It's bad. All right, so let's go over the writing.
Well, the writing, it's bland. It's boring. To be honest, actually, like the first one takes place in the medieval times with Michael Madsen being a vampire hunter. There's enough cheese in that to make me want to watch it at least once. The second one is BloodRayne in the Old West. She's a gunslinger in that one. I'm not making that shit up. Now the thing is, though, her blades in the games also had guns on them. So, like...
Gun blades. Super cool.
Yeah, it's really awesome. But guess what? They fucked it up in the movies.
Yeah, they
Uwe Boll, you fucking suck.
It turns out that when you turn vampire, you apparently suck at guns, or you just don't care to use them anymore, because swords are so much more fun. And I can understand why. It's because you got a bloodlust to you, and swords cause a bit more blood to appear than guns do.
Rain did it because it was quiet at first, and then she got carried away.
Yeah. Okay, so...
Depends on how you play the game.
Yeah, the writing... okay, let's first go over just, like, the dialogue. Stock standard, just forwarding the plot.
It's very forced.
It's
very forced, but also the performances with the writing isn't all that strong.
No.
There's no conviction. Even when people die, it's like, ah. I mean, it's like people slipping into an Ambien nap. Ah.
I want to see in the script, it says dies, well, maybe he just fell over. Don't make it convincing.
Yawn.
Yeah, there you go. Because if it wasn't for the blood and the gunshot sounds, I wouldn't have known that a character died. He's more like just...
No, there's some people you could just tell just laid down.
They were terrible. Except there was one doctor who died at the very end. He was shot and he was like, ah!
Yeah, that's about it. He was the one person, I think, who actually was, like, trying to, like, mug the hell out of his role. I was, like, talking in this type of voice the entire time.
No, I'm going to fight with you, but let's wait until we get to acting for that. As for writing, it was, that was the dialogue. It had an occasional one-liner.
Once in a very long time.
Once in the very intro... As it was ending up the intro speech, the Rain went, fucking Nazis.
Fucking Nazis.
Which we used earlier in our show, but God knows we can't take credit for that phrase, because it's a pretty common phrase.
Yeah, but it's so well placed, even though the rest of the narration in this movie kind of sucks.
Then throughout the entire movie, there's not a single interesting thing, except there's one part. This one girl had just posed her as, I guess, a hooker pretty much, and got her way into a Nazi, like, sort of meeting. And then she pulled out a gun, shot one of the Nazis, and then was sitting down with the other Nazi, and was like, I bet you're wondering where I got that gun. And then she pulled out things like, L'chaim. And it was like, ah!
Oh, funny, yes. And it was totally a ripoff of Inglourious Basterds.
Of course, but...
She was even blonde, like Bridget von Hammersmark. I think she had the same gun as her, too.
Did this come out before or after?
Well, no, Inglourious Basterds was 2009.
Okay, then yes.
So this came out afterwards. Uwe Boll, stop it. Leave that to the good ripoff artists like James Cameron.
Of course.
Fuck you, Cameron.
The rest of this review will not be about...
Shout out! Block my Titanic review. But back to the movie.
Pacing,
to be honest, actually, I can't say much about it because it wasn't horrible pacing, but at the same time, there was nothing really happening to really judge it against. Everything was played out at the same pace.
Yeah,
even the action scenes.
I can't tell what is the writing pacing's fault and what is... Yeah, that's right. And what is the editing pacing's fault. Because there's some shots in there where it's like such an awkward beginning or end of a shot.
Yeah.
That's definitely editing. But it's hard to tell where does editing's fault stop and the writing's fault begin when it comes to the pacing.
And it's also the directing.
Yeah, well, let's go into that then. Directing. Uwe Boll is Uwe Boll.
He is, and the thing is, though, he's just really good at being bad. But the thing is, though, I know he does it on purpose. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, I don't know if he would actually be a really good director if he fucking tried. I don't know. I actually am in complete limbo about this, but because he's such a dick.
That's just it. You can't question, would he be a good director? The fact of the matter is he has made his choice to stick to such bad films.
He has sold his soul.
That if he were to create a good film, like try to not be bad, his name would have such a stigma attached to it that people would just be like, nah, it sucks. You suck.
Everything about you sucks.
Fuck you, Uwe Boll.
And guess what? He'll challenge us to a boxing match and he'll beat the living shit out of us.
No, I'm just going to decline. I'll be called a wuss before I get to
I'm not going to fight Uwe Boll. I mean, like, have you seen this fucking guy?
Uwe Boll, we challenge you to a critic off. Yeah. Try taking on that one.
He'll just probably just call us fucking idiots.
Probably. Okay. Moving on. Directing. It's Uwe Boll. That's all.
It is Uwe Boll. And to be honest, actually, it's a marvel that he exists.
In this particular movie, I think he more or less have just relied on the actors to say, know what you're supposed to do, and the actors said, more or less. And he said, okay.
He seemed bored. I mean, everything about this movie seemed half-assed.
Yeah, it wasn't, like, really trying to be bad. It wasn't like, we are going to make the worst film of all time. But at the same time, it wasn't like, we are going to put effort into this film. It was just like,
we got money, let's make a movie.
No, it's not even that. Remember,
one take. Good. Let's go.
I wouldn't be surprised. But through, remember, his German tax break thing?
Yeah.
No matter how bad the movie is, it makes him money. So I'm pretty sure he was just like, hey, what's an IP that I have? You have the BloodRayne stuff. Let's make another one of those. I want to buy a new car.
You know, the funny thing is, actually, when they made BloodRayne 3, the production company decided to release it only on direct-to-DVD because they fear there was going to be no box office return to the movie. I wonder why.
I would have gone to see this in theaters.
The thing is with Uwe Boll, that really blows my mind about him, each movie he makes gets more and more expensive, and each movie he makes returns less and less money. So it's mind-boggling. He's like Alone in the Dark. I think was like a $60 million budget. Didn't even make like $2 billion back.
It's those German tax breaks. That's the only way he gets out.
Fuck you, you fucking prick.
All right. Before we move into acting, I just need to say that opening joke, the German dialect or accents and all that, there's a reason for that. Every single actor, save maybe 2 or 3, obviously an English/American actor, and obviously didn't even attempt to do a German accent. Not even like mildly. There was the one guy who's like, I am the son of the Third Reich. None shall stop me. Like,
I am power.
He spoke exactly like, pretty much exactly like that.
Roar!
Roar! But no German accent in sight. He is supposed to be like one of the head Nazis.
I don't think... Did anyone really speak with a German accent?
There were a few people. There was one guy, he was such an extra. Such an extra.
But he was milking all that time.
He went up and he's like, Mein Führer, and he used his little dots over the U's. So, yeah, after that, let's move right into acting.
Acting. There was a couple people
who knew what they were doing.
Even though they had nothing to work with.
Of course not. That's like giving Liam Neeson a thing that has nothing for him to kill. It's like
Schindler's List. He saved people, and he actually had a convincing German accent.
Current Liam Neeson.
Actually, even though Ralph Fiennes had a much more convincing accent in that movie than anything else. But
that's a good movie. We're talking about bad ones.
Yes. It would be like Harrison Ford's Russian accent in K-19. That was bad, even though the movie itself was really good.
All right.
But
this movie, its acting is just subpar. Like, you got the par, and they're just below.
The girl who plays Rain.
This is her second time playing Rain. We never saw the first one.
So, eventually, I probably think we're going to get to the second one. But, eventually, far down the road. The sleaziness in me just says it. She's a nice piece of ass.
And you might think that sounds sleazy, but if you have to throw that character into a lesbian sex scene to keep the audience's attention, The writers and directors thought it as well.
She's not in. She's in 2 sex scenes in the movie with 2 different people.
Oh, I forgot about the second one. The second one's a straight sex scene, so lesbian and straight. She's bi-curious.
You see a lot more in the lesbian sex scene, actually. You see the other girl basically going down on her, and it's fun. But at the same time...
R rating, A+.
Yeah, whatever. But, fuck you, it's a movie. But the thing is, though... The thing is that Uwe Boll is one of the few people who really does understand the grasp of, if you don't have quality, add more smut. Whether the smut be sexually oriented or just hack and slash mindless action and whatnot, usually it's pretty, I can't say stimulating or entertaining and whatnot, but it keeps your attention.
That's what we were saying.
It's flashy.
You said earlier that this movie is essentially background noise that has some sex scenes thrown in. So if you put it in the background...
Probably be good background for sex, probably.
Only if you loop a few scenes, because there are some...
Just keep going.
There are some one-liners in there you don't want coming on if you're having sex. Particularly the ending in which a characters jump out of a truck and like, Guten Tag, motherfucker. That would not be good to make love to.
Well, I don't know, man. Maybe that's your safe word at the very end and whatnot. Guten Tag, motherfucker.
You can tell we don't want to talk about this movie.
I know. Everything else is so much more interesting.
But no, it's background noise. And what happens is if you put it in the background, they have just enough violent scenes every once in a while and just enough sex scenes every once in a while that you have to keep clicking back to it. You can't just have it playing in the back. You have to keep clicking back. And I think that really was the goal. It's like, hey, we've gone 5 minutes with the audience being bored by the plot. What should we do now? Oh, let's throw in this scene. Let's throw in that scene.
It really does baffle the mind that these movies get made and also with such high frequency. Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand it. It's cheap. It's mindless entertainment, and it brings in a few bucks.
Yeah, as long as it makes money, there is no downside as far as
at least
Uwe Boll goes.
Also in studio means and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, and that's probably what pisses me off the most about this is the fact that he knows it. He flaunts it. If you've seen some of the effects in this movie and other movies and whatnot, you can fucking tell. He's giving big middle fingers to the audience. He's like, ha ha ha, I'm still doing this and you guys are fucking struggling.
One thing I want to go over real quick, because we kind of pandered, was the acting. You said there was that one guy. There's a doctor named Dr. Mangler. Yeah. And
he's the Heisenberg of this movie.
Not the Heisenberg. The Heisenberg would be amazing. He's the, I don't know, he's kind of like the Igor. He's just hopping around. He's like, what can I do for you? Yes.
Let me work on the vampire. Yes, master.
He's speaking with this sort of growl to his voice.
He's got that weird eye look thing going on. I was like,
yes. You're saying that he's putting effort into it. I think
No, effort. He's mugging it. That means he is trying to be as outlandish as humanly possible. He's having fun with it.
I don't think so. Still. I think that he is just purely bad and he was trying to give it a little bit.
It's always fun to see bad actors trying to go for the Oscar. And I love that. I think we should just make that like a section of which actor in this movie is going for the Oscar. The person who puts in way too much effort into making any role work.
What is it? Nostalgia Critic did Thomas the Train Engine. There's the one guy.
Peter Fonda.
Peter Fonda. He was
going for the Oscar.
Yeah, the joke is like, you're trying too hard. That was the whole thing. But yeah, I honestly think, because when you put an inflection into your voice, whether it be an accent, whether it be a growl, whether it be anything except for your normal speaking voice, when you're acting, you have to get that into your subconscious. You have to be doing that without thinking about it. Because if you're having to think about it, you're not acting. Half of your attention is going towards keeping that voice. The other half is for acting. Whereas it should be all of your attention is going towards, I am this character.
and the accent comes out of it.
Exactly.
I mean, it really depends on if you are a believer in any particular method. I like Stanislavski personally because he's the one that I agree with the most. But at the same time, there's many other different methods when it comes down to acting. However, this movie...
It doesn't have any one-set thing for acting. It's just like, what's that? You have on your resume you're an actor? Okay, you're in.
You're in.
Yeah, hop on it. Wait, you're playing the main character. Do you have tits? You do? Okay, you can go.
How big?
That's just Uwe Boll. May I feel them? Yes. Okay.
I bet he did ask that.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, really, there's not much else to say about the movie.
Really quick.
Editing, alright. Editing, the signature of a movie.
It's what you see. It is virtually what you see.
It assembles your entire perspective of the movie in your mind. Editing is one of the most crucial parts of movie making.
They failed.
Yeah.
They failed.
Yeah.
They 100% failed. There was one particular point where I knew they failed. Towards the end of the movie, there was a guy keeping watch outside. And he was just kind of looking around. He was smoking a cigar or a cigarette or whatever the fuck it was. And he was just looking around. Then they cut to some other thing happening. And then they cut back. And it was just as the guy was getting his neck snapped. You never saw the vampire Nazis come up. You know, I just realized we never really talked about that. The ludicrousness of the plot. But we'll get maybe to it. He had his neck snapped. You never saw them coming up. You never saw him mildly reacting. It was just him standing there looking around. Cut to something else. And they come back. That was it. That's like...
And also the thing is, though, after the vampire does it, he looks right at BloodRayne. So apparently they all just ran up there at once, and all of a sudden he was just there.
Yeah. So, and this guy apparently just did not hear it at all. So that's how you know the editing is bad, when it makes you question if the characters are intelligent. Which, again, that's why I was so confused as to what was the editing's fault and what was the writing's fault.
Or the filmmaker's intelligent. I mean, there's a difference between intelligence and wisdom.
Yes.
And also a lack of either.
Uwe Boll, I equate you to a guy who got his dad's camcorder.
Have you ever heard of Flowers for Algernon? You remind me of the guy in that before he got smarter.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like Flowers for Algernon.
I did too. It's a great book, and it's a good movie.
Oh, wait, the movie is Charlie. Watch Charlie.
Yeah.
Charly, I think.
Other than that.
Ludicrousness of the plot. We never really touched on that. It's just close your eyes real quick.
Alright, now.
Blank your mind.
Nazis trying to create a vampire army.
That's part of the game.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It's fine. And also, it's been used to great effects in a lot of different things, like in the Hellsing Ultimate series. The Major is probably one of the coolest, scariest fucking villains in all of animation. But it works. In this movie,
no.
You would expect a German to get fucking Nazis right. I know that sounds bad. I know that sounds horrible, and I apologize, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know exactly how World War II is approached over in Germany. I mean, I failed German 101 twice.
Actually, I think it was a comedy stand-up, so it may be fully fabricated, but there was talk of a guy who was doing a show over in Germany, and he took kind of like a tour around, I think it was like Berlin or something like that, and they essentially just skipped over everything from like 1911 to 1940 something.
45,
yeah,
probably.
When they were going through their little list there, they were like, and nothing happened here, and we're moving on.
I think they did a joke of that in Family Guy, too.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, but this is also the guy who directed a movie called Auschwitz, okay?
Which you think he learned.
He was also starred in it, too. He was one of the guys who was fucking controlling the gas chamber. And he says it's not a fucking tasteless movie. But it's a... you didn't know that, did you?
I didn't.
You see it in the trailer, too. But,
I'm going to have to watch that.
There was an authenticity in that movie, as fucked up as it was. There was an authenticity to the way that the Nazis and the Holocaust was being handled. This movie, Nazis are caricatures. Mm-hmm. And that's fine with Nazi exploitation movies. Like Dead Snow is a laugh. It's great. But at the same time, This movie's not.
No, this movie is not a laugh. It's supposed to be some sort of a action thriller.
Yeah.
It's not.
Even though the original games were action horror.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Where was the horror aspect of this entire film?
They tried to go for it, or at least I guess they tried to go for it in the first movie.
They tried to go for horror as much as Kangaroo Jack.
That's another movie I add to the list.
Oh no. So yeah, overall, it's just a ludicrous plot in the way of, compared to the game, it's close to the game. But the fact that they're not trying to build up a vampire army. The vampire army is just kind of like a side effect of them just trying to get BloodRayne's...
And there's only a few vampires in the first place. I mean, she wasn't like the missing link in vampirism.
Vampire.
Which are not the way that they're called in the BloodRayne games.
In other lore...
Yeah, I mean, you find it in, like, Dungeons & Dragons and all sorts of other things.
Which is half human, half vampire.
Yeah, but guess what? They're called Dunpeals in the Vampire Hunter D films. But the thing is, in this movie, they're just half-breeds. They're not anything special. They were born...
Well, no, in the games.
In the games, they're nothing special because they usually don't last very long. Rain is the exception. And that's why she lasts for so long and she ends up beating Kagan. But
that's why it's so disappointing when they say, like, oh, Dampier, don't you think? It's like, she's not a Dampier. She's not a Dampier.
They just keep calling her that, too.
If I can reference another video game movie, Super Mario Brothers. Okay?
Mario.
In Super Mario Brothers, they're the Goomba enemies. Now that's in little walking mushroom dudes. Okay, that's a thing. That is fine. Have you seen the Goombas in the Super Mario Brothers movie? Have you really seen them? Can we pull up a picture? Can we do that? That's what a Goomba looks like in the Super Mario Brothers movie. Fuck! How do you get something so wrong? If you change the basis of the video game that you're based off lore, their sole mythology, their sole creation points, then you have completely missed the point of an adaptation.
One of the very few video game adaptations to movie that I actually thought are good, because there are so few. Because doing a video game adaptation into a movie is hard. Especially if you want to appeal the entire fan base, because the entire fan base likes these games for different reasons.
Yeah.
So, but the only one I thought that even came close was the first Silent Hill. It came close in spirit and also in the stylization of the original games, as well as including the elements of the original story in with it. It did a really good job compiling all the elements together. Though I can say without a doubt that Silent Hill Revelations completely sucks my dick. Fucking hate that movie, and the fact that it was done by Michael J. Bassett is inexcusable.
I'm going to agree, but in the way of video game adaptations that somewhat work as well, I'm also going to add, I may get hate for this, I don't know public opinion, not the first, but the later Resident Evil movies. The first one was so terribly off that it doesn't work at all. But
to be honest, actually, the only one I like is Extinction.
I don't remember the order they are.
The second one is Apocalypse. Then
Extinction.
Then the other ones. I don't even fucking bother to watch.
Apocalypse and Extinction, I thought kind of...
I didn't care for Apocalypse.
I feel like they kind of got the feeling a little bit. It's not great, but they at least...
They added the Nemesis. At least that was from the original games.
They had the... Leon, I mean, he wasn't looking anything the same, but they had Leon. They had the brother sister. Why am I blanking on their last name? Fuck! Don't crucify me for this. It's been a while.
Don't worry about it.
but
there can be good adaptations. Yes. So that's the point.
It's fully possible for them to exist, whether it's just you who believes it or it's the general existence of the population that believes it. They can be real.
And then you have Uwe Boll's video game movies, which are in a completely different category of its own. This guy has made a career of making video game movies that are nothing to do with the video game.
Not even just video game. Well, yes, that's how he started off, but then he moved on.
He still keeps doing it.
He does.
We gotta wrap this up.
Okay, alright. So, let's...
I'm just gonna rant and rave about this fucker all night.
In that case, your final thoughts. Try to keep it about the movie and not about Uwe Boll as a whole.
The movie itself was just bland. It was poorly edited together. The cinematography was stock standard. The acting was, mediocre, minimum at best, except for a couple moments from a couple actors. And overall, I can't recommend this movie either way. I mean, it's not a it's so bad it's good movie. It's not a bad movie. You have to see this, oh my god, it's so bad. Or it's not just an okay film. It's a bad movie that just leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Okay.
It's bad.
My final thoughts. I think that you shouldn't watch this for the movie. What you should watch this for is if you think that lead actress is hot, find her 2 sex scenes. They're mildly worth it. It's nothing that you can't find, better of on porn sites, but they're pretty cool.
Even Mr. Skin.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're not terrible. But there's no way in hell I would recommend this movie for the plot. For the images, for the characters, for anything like that. For the movie.
Except for say those 2 scenes.
Never would recommend this to anybody.
I would only really recommend the first scene, even.
The first scene's just a drawn-out scene on a train.
No, that's the second scene.
Oh.
No, the first one is the lesbian one. That one's all nice and drawn out.
No, I was talking about the very first scene in the movie.
Oh, the very first scene.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No.
The very first scene's it's literally interspliced with the credits of just a long
It's
frame.
like a 7-8 minute sequence.
So yeah, not a good movie. It overall is not good. So I think that's that. Alright, so really quick, just wanted to say, again, sorry about those subtitles at the beginning. Honestly, nobody here at ShitFlix, between the two of us, we are not affiliated with the Nazi Party or agree with their views at all.